Watch out for the sharks at Swordquest Waterworld. This is one of the rarest, most collectible, and overpriced Atari 2600 cartridges in existence. Watch out for the octopus! Why is it so rare? Because it was initially only available to Atari Club members. So why do I have it? That's a great question that I don't even know the answer to. I was not a member of the Atari Club, although damn it, I should have been. I'm pretty sure I remember when my mom got me this cartridge. I got a stack of Atari 2600 games when they were clearly on fire sale in about 1985 or 1986 when nobody wanted them. And some toy store was just getting rid of their entire stock of Atari games. They were in white boxes that didn't even have pictures on them. That's where I got my Ms. Pac-Man, Moon Patrol, a lot of my Silver Label games. I remember clearly coming with white boxes. I don't have them anymore. The boxes. I have the game cartridges and they came with manuals, but does anybody else who's in their 30s now remember this? Like white boxes with just black text. That's how they were selling off tons of Atari games all at once, or at least in this one sale. Maybe they were stolen, I don't know. They fell off the back of the truck. But I suspect that's where my Swordquest Waterworld came from. Although I'm not sure. I know that I did not pay an astronomical price to get this game. I've had it since it was at least somewhat new. I no longer have the comic book, and that's kind of essential to play the game. Let me explain the whole thing with Swordquest Waterworld. There's 3 Swordquest games. Swordquest Earthworld, Fireworld, and Waterworld. This one was released in 1983. There was supposed to be a 4th one, Airworld, which never came out. The game is meant to be played with a comic book. You go through these fun action sequences, and then it turns into like an adventure-style game, where you see items in rooms, and you're supposed to collect the items and then place them in different rooms. Each room is numbered. I guess different items appear depending on how well you do with the action sequences. I'm not entirely sure. There's a guide that came with the game called Waterworld Made Simple. I'll read some of this because it explains how to play the game better than I can. Your task from here on is to take all of the objects into all of the rooms and make a note of what happens when you transfer each object back and forth from each room to the backpack. With this information, you can now make some logical inferences as to which objects belong in which rooms. Go to those rooms, place combinations of objects into the rooms until you can trigger a numerical clue. Be prepared to make a note of the numerical clue when it appears because it will remain on the screen for only a moment. Then, use the numerical clue to look for a word clue in the DC comic book. Use this technique to find all 7 numerical clues in the Waterworld video game. Look with the eye of an artist for the corresponding word clues in the comic book. Then, with the discriminating pen of the poet, choose 4 of those 7 word clues, which you think are correct, write them on the entry blank, and send them to Atari. All set to meet the Swordquest challenge. On guard! With the pen of the poet. Love that line. For being such a highfalutin, expensive, rare Atari 2600 cartridge, you'd expect that this thing would be made of gold or silver or something, but it's not. It's just like any other Silver Label Atari 2600 cartridge, except that it says Swordquest Waterworld. And it's actually an excellent design. This is one of the better looking Atari 2600 cartridges. Check this out. Here we have the Waterworld Made Simple When All Else Fails. An approach to solving the puzzle. This came with my game cartridge more than 2 decades ago and gives you some hints on how to actually play the game. Pretty interesting. And here's something else that came with it. I happened to still have these things, which is pretty amazing. Nice artwork here. The Swordquest Challenge Waterworld $150,000 Swordquest Challenge continues. Something, 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 Certificate of Merit. If we look on the back side here, there's the official rules. I assume this is probably expired by now, although I still have my official Atari Waterworld contest entry form. February 15, 1984. Just missed it. You've got to give it to them. The music and the cover artwork for this game is memorable. I'm just not sure if it really makes this worthy of being one of the most expensive Atari games out there. If I had to put a value on Atari games, Yars Revenge would by far be the most... well, there's a lot of them. Never mind. I don't even know where I was going with that. You can find all the information about this game online. I'm not sure if they ever actually completed the entire contest. If you really want to play Swordquest Waterworld, I recommend picking it up on the Atari Anthology for Xbox or PlayStation 2, rather than hunting out the rather expensive game cartridge. The game is in the Atari Anthology, which costs a lot less than the game cartridge will cost you. And you get other games like Yars Revenge. In fact, I reviewed the Atari Anthology for Xbox. At the time, I had not located my Waterworld game cartridge. Apparently my cousin had it, so thanks for getting it back to me, Tim. Apparently it's in such great shape because neither of us liked it, so we never played it. To be honest, it's not really my kind of game. I'd rather mow the lawn than play Swordquest Waterworld. When I was a kid, I didn't really like the game, and I didn't like adventure all that much either, but I liked the parts with the sharks and the octopus. They were a lot of fun, and I always enjoyed just seeing the flashing sword come up on screen. Eventually, I got bored with it and just went back to playing Robotron or Yars Revenge. But Waterworld is an important piece of video game history. It's a imaginative concept, to say the least. It's a fairly well-made game. You pick up objects by holding down the button and walking over them. Then you can go into your backpack by walking over the backpack icon with your button down, which then makes the cursor blink at the bottom of the screen, and that's how you drop objects in and out of the backpack. If you like adventure or the Indiana Jones Raiders of the Lost Ark game on Atari 2600, you may very well enjoy the Swordquest games. But if you're like me and you enjoy action games or games where you burn people with monsters and cut them in half, then Swordquest Waterworld probably won't be your thing. For those avid video game collectors, an unopened Swordquest Waterworld box complete with cartridge, comic book, and all the other items will cost you a good bit of change. I think that money would be better spent buying 800 copies of Yars Revenge, which also comes with a comic book, and is frankly a much better game.